Thoughts on the governor's plan 45 minutes before it comes out?
Well, as you know, we've met with the governor a few times. We met with the governor and Ryan the other day, and a few weeks ago met with Ryan to walk through the plan. And I said to them, as I'll say to you, I think that it is much better thought through than the previous plans, if you could call the previous ones plans. I think that there is common ground we can find with the plan that's coming out today. I think we should go the route of what we did 2 years ago, the bipartisan budget, figure out what we can agree to and then work from there. Unfortunately, I do not support a revenue stream coming from tolls. I think that this is a perfect opportunity to work with the federal government in a positive way with these low-interest federal loans. I think we should focus on that, but unfortunately, I think that it's $21 billion is just too much money right now. I think this needs to be a smaller plan. There are unfortunately still a lot of questions to be asked. I'm sure the other caucuses have similar questions, and OFA needs to vet the plan once they have it in their hands. So I'd be interested in finding out a little bit more.
Will Republicans offer up their own plan, and what would that look like?
Well, we wanted to see what this looked like first. We just got the pro forma on Monday night, and we're still going through it. And as I said, we'd like to see what OFA has to say about some of the ideas. But we think, and we have put out other plans, not only prioritize progress, but other ways of looking at transportation. We all agree transportation needs to be funded. I think the two main differences right now is the fact that we don't support the revenue stream being tolls, and we don't think $21 billion is affordable. So if you take that $21 billion and make it smaller, there are other ways to look at this funding, in addition to the money we actually have in the Special Transportation Fund now. The governor said the money that was swept in the budget, the $185 million he's putting back in 2 years. I don't feel 100% comfortable that that will happen because, as you know, 2 years from now we have a $2.5 billion deficit that we need to fund, and I don't really see anybody taking almost $200 million out of the general fund to put it back in somewhere else when there's billions of dollars to be found. There are ideas, and we're more than willing to share with the governor, as I've told him in our meeting. I'd love to sit down and discuss what some other ideas might be.
What's the genesis for why you're taking such a hard line on tolls? I mean, the plan's been drastically scaled back. Is it just a trust issue?
Well, I mean, I think the trust issue is the umbrella over this whole thing, right? When you look back, we have an income tax that never went away. We have a hospital tax that the hospitals are actually forced to sue the state for because they never got the money back. We have conveyance tax that's been sunsetted on and off for many years. And so there's no trust. There's no trust in the state's ability to keep their word. That's not saying that people today, when they give their word, don't intend on keeping it. But unfortunately, with a $2.5 billion deficit going forward, with money going out the door every day with people leaving this state, I don't know how any promises can be made over a plan today that will remain intact in a year or 5 years or 10 years. Trust is not there. Nobody trusts government, and they don't trust them because of the track record. Not because we don't like them or it's a personal thing. They don't trust them because of the track record we've had. There has never been a revenue stream in this state that has ever been taken away.
So there's no legislative mechanism that could be put in a bill that would give you assurance to know that once the project is funded, the tolls would come down?
Well, two things. Number one, if you look at the two previous plans, I mean, I would say this is the only plan that they've come out with. I mean, just going out and saying, let's put 50 tolls in all over the place, the Speaker of the House saying they'll be everywhere, and just a few days ago, the House Chairman of the Transportation Committee saying, I think it should be 50 or more tolls. All right? Those are not plans. Those are just pie-in-the-sky ideas because you get into office and you realize, oh, boy, we have a huge deficit. Where are we going to find some money? This is an actual plan, and this is a plan that should be discussed. It's the revenue stream we have the problem with. You know, but I think you're referring to the part, I said to the Chief of Staff and to the Governor, how do you get over the trust issue? How do you get over it? Because it's difficult in government, I understand that. And they said, well, we can take the contract that we're going to have with a third-party provider, for example, EasyPass, and write in that contract that the toll will stay fixed at the amount that is going forward today in the plan. Or if a plan passes, the plan that passes. I don't see how any of that is enforceable, number one. But number two, if that goes in a contract tomorrow, contracts get modified all the time. Who's to say that a year from now or 2 years from now or 5 years from now, when these deficits that we're projecting out, that are very clearly being projected as big deficits, when those people are faced with those deficits, why would they ever not try and modify that contract and increase that? And by the way, it's not the third-party contract provider that's responsible for it. It's the state of Connecticut. That's who we have the trust with, not Easy Pass.
The governor's going to ask for a special session before the end of the year to do this. What's the likelihood of that happening?
I can't imagine that that's likely at all. The other problem we have is we have a restaurant bill that is ready to go and needs to be voted on yesterday. We have this hospital negotiation that's hurting hospitals day in and day out, that we're just waiting for those negotiations to be completed. And we have a bond bill where towns and cities are being held up from fixing their roads, and any day now we're getting snow and snow removal and things that they've relied on from the state of Connecticut. And the governor is trying to hold these towns hostage for our votes. And that's not right. These are two separate things. We gave them our word. They were getting this money. They should get it. So these are all the things that are on the table still to do, notwithstanding a transportation package.
Would you accept, for example, half of what we got here? In other words, a $10 billion plan, no tolls, somehow financed either through bonding or revenue or something like that. In other words, it seems like you're telling us you do want to do something. You don't want to do it with tolls. So I'm asking, and 21 is too much. So if we go to 10, no toll money, maybe we bond the whole thing. We only do certain specific projects, the most important ones. Would you vote for something like that?
Well, I'm not going to tell you what I would or wouldn't vote for, but I will tell you this. The same thing I told the governor. I am open to sitting down and having a conversation about what dollar amount that's not $21 billion, because we all know one thing. We cannot afford $21 billion. A scaled-down version, whether it's 10, whether it's 12, I don't know the actual number, but we cannot afford $21 billion no matter where the revenue source is coming from.